Welcome to another episode of BC Spirits. Obviously, I'm your host, Sean Sewell. As you can tell, I'm rocking out BC Spirits swag because, well, that's all I wear these days. BC Spirits swag shirt, BC hoodie, which is my grain grape fruit and honey, which is one of my favorite brands that we came up with. And then, of course, my hat. The wonderful thing about working at home for yourself is that you get to wear whatever the hell you want. So this week, I know last week I did vodka, and I'm sure I pissed people off with my opinion of vodka in general. But this week I'm back to something else that I love, which is gin. Gin obviously is a neutral spirit. Now in BC you have to ferment and distill on site, and then you infuse it with botanicals. Most likely juniper has to be used as the main ingredient. So I decided to pick out a couple of gins because I've done the big Fever Tree project for all of Canada now, actually. I was only supposed to do Western Canada, now I'm doing Eastern Canada, so I'm kind of expecting a whole schwackload of gins from the other side of the country now, which is going to be massive for me. So I have all these gins in my repertoire now, my little collection, and I decided to share them with you. And so I'm going to start off with one of my favorites. I shouldn't say favorites because everybody always gets upset that I've got favoritizing and I've got conflicts of interest and blah, 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 blah. But one of the mainstays in the craft scene is, of course, the Odd Society Wallflower. Everybody knows my love for Gordon Merriam, and I think it's more the love for the people over the spirit and the brand. Gordon Merriam are literally the nicest people in the freaking world. So we're going to start with their Wallflower gin. I find this is a nice palate cleanser. This is a really good intro into BC gins. Pretty much everybody has this on their shelf. It's kind of crazy how much brand-specific awesomeness people have been showing for the Odd Society brand. %100% barley as its base. Oh, super juniper pine. Now, I've talked about this in other episodes, but if it's your first time, we can go through. When you use juniper as a base botanical for your gin, it really depends on how it gets used and infused into the liquid, because juniper can become almost grapefruit, or it can lean towards like a pine sort of flavor profile, and it's very specific about use dried or green, and it's a herb or a botanical. It's a spice, I suppose, a botanical that can be molded to exactly what you want depending on how you use it in the distillation process. 100% barley, so a super clean distillate to start. And then the botanicals just come through super nice. This is super fresh, really good with lemon, your white ladies, your gin and tonics, that sort of stuff. It's a good all-round gin, and it's well crafted here in BC, and I really, really appreciate this one. I use this a lot, to be honest with you. But the Odd Society guys just do a fantastic job over there. The thing with gin is if you work with a base that's too malty, it comes through in the final product, and you want it to be sort of clean, and the botanicals and the juniper to sort of sing as a baseline. Good little palate cleanser. I'm feeling good about it. So next up is Mad Lab, the gin number 6 from Scotty. Now, I haven't tasted a lot of stuff from Mad Lab. They do some crazy, wicked, weird, crazy, awesome stuff. I tasted the Raki a little while ago, which I absolutely love Raki, and Ouzo, and anise, spirits like that, Pernod. But I haven't tasted a lot of their mainline stuff. They do a great kombucha cordial line as well. I think I tasted this for the first time at the Fraser Valley Distillers Festival, which is coming up in February in Chilliwack. I know it's Chilliwack. It's a drive, okay? But I'm coming from Victoria to Chilliwack. Vancouver, the Fraser Valley Distillers Festival is a fantastic little festival where you get to taste a bunch of cool stuff, so go and do yourself a favor. So it's called Gin 6 because it's only using 6 botanicals by the looks of it. We've got lemon peel, coriander, oh, that's interesting, a little bit of juniper, cucumbers, and laurel. So it's nice to see that cucumbers are used as botanical, but not a forward botanical that's used as a marketing ploy, a la Hendrix. Ooh. This is a great little one. Batch number 12. What alcohol content are we looking at? I can't find it. Alright, 40 ABV. Really strong, nice, clean baseline. And all that other stuff, like a little bit of licorice there. The cucumber's playing really nicely, but it's almost like cucumber peel in there. Another great gin to start off with. These two gins, like, again, I talked about in the vodka episode. I know that a lot of people are brand loyal to Bombay, Tanqueray, that sort of thing. But if you like changing up your gins and like exploring stuff, BC Craft has got some great gins you've got to try out. And try them out. Like I said in the end of the vodka episode, these people employ local communities. So go out and support local distilleries. Push them to make more product so that everybody's winning from that. Okay, next up. This one's brand spanking new. I talked about this in the What I Got Cool This Week episode that I did on Monday. Discovery Street Citrus Gin from Phillips. Now, Phillips is obviously famous for their stump. Their stump gin is like a walk through a pine forest after a rainfall sort of thing is what Matt Phillips describes it as. Discovery Street is where their new tasting room is. Their tasting room downtown is epic. Massive, beautiful tasting room. They're starting leaning into a couple more new spirits that are really fun. This one's brand new. I actually haven't tried this yet. It's the very first time. Oh, this is definitely up with what I was expecting. I was really expecting like a citrus forward, being a citrus gin. Ooh. But it's got there's black pepper there. Could be the coriander, but they're saying black pepper and coriander, but I kind of feel like there's a Cooper berry or grains of paradise is quite aggressive. Like, there's a nice spice, and it's almost like this sort of citrusy, spicy sort of finish to it. Really complex. I was really expecting like just a straight up like citrus gin, but this is like really giving me some sort of crazy peppery complexity on the finish, which I'm really loving. Like, great work jobs. I shouldn't say, like, I worked with you guys on Stump Gin. Everybody knows I worked with you guys on Stump Gin. But this is fantastic. I was really expecting just a sort of like baseline gin with citrus. But this is fantastic. Like, the spice and the citrus really plays really well. Juniper's there, but the juniper's more grapefruity, which we talked about earlier. Fantastic. For a first time tasting the spirit, is fantastic. So, next up, Doctor's Orders. Now, Legends this is their baseline gin. They've always done this gin. I think they've become more famous for their little 3-pack of like roasted rosemary and forest berries and stuff like that. I think that, and their sage, their black sage one. I think that's what they became more famous for. But their Doctor's Orders is a perfect little starter. Right up on Naramata Bench. If you go to Naramata, nowhere in Naramata has a bad view. Everywhere in Naramata has a great view. So, do yourself a favor and go out to Naramata. Visit these guys. They have a fantastic tasting room, cocktails. I've done a few cocktail videos with them. I remember tasting this one a little while ago, and it still had this sort of really strong malty background. It's definitely cleaned up that distillate, and it's definitely like a really nice, full-on, bold sort of Tank 10 sort of feel, but with definitely a BC Okanagan Valley sort of testament to it, which sounds kind of weird, I know. But it's almost got like a honey finish to it too, like a honeysuckle. Like, not honey, but like the honeysuckle flowers. Really good, like, second tasting. Like, this has been a while since I tasted this one. Really good second tasting. It's really come to age on that one. So next up, the Unruly Gin. So we talked about the Salt Spring Shine in the vodka episode. They are a honey-based distillery. This is the original honey-based distillery. I remember driving all the way up to Courtenay to see Dave the very first time that he started opening, and like sort of seeing his operations and stuff. Ex-military engineer, so you can imagine the cobbling together of sort of equipment and figuring out where problems come up. He's like, nah, it's not a problem, we'll fix that. And we cobbled something together. He used to have a hot room for his honey, because the honey would get, because especially in Courtenay, would get very solidified being out in the open. Amazingly talented, like, operator and distiller. And the fact that he has stuck to being 100% honey, when I've talked about honey being expensive, hard to get, consistent, so on and so forth, is a testament to his vision and what he started as his mission statement, and how he stuck with it. Like, no, screw it, I know it's going to be more expensive, I know it's going to be cost prohibitive long term, but he stuck to it and just kept plowing away at it. He's done a great job with this gin. The honey is fermented straight through, so it's sort of like if you fully ferment all the honey, you've got a really good size fermented yield on your hands. And then how you distill it can really make it pop. And I think he's still using a stainless steel still, which you won't really necessarily need to go copper without grain. But it's a very clean spirit, and then he infuses with this very light, fragrant gin botanicals, which just like roll and roll and roll. Definitely citrus forward, which works with the honey distillate. The great thing is this is gluten free, so if you are a celiac, this is a perfect one for you. Go ahead and grab it. It's honey based, so unless you're vegan, which then goes against us. It's a long story. I'm not even going to get into that. But great honey distillates are expensive. Go support them. Great packaging as well. Come on, can't beat the packaging. So finally, Arbutus Distillery in Nanaimo. Now, I've done a fair few things with the Arbutus Distillery in Nanaimo, done a few tastings with the guys. Michael is a fantastic distiller and operator as well. The great thing with doing BC Spirits and being in the bartender industry and everything else, you get to meet a lot of people and learn a lot of people personally. And Michael's another one, has a fantastic lounge up in Nanaimo. Go check out the cocktail menu. I'm impressed that something like that doesn't exist in Victoria. It's a fantastic cocktail menu. They do a fantastic amount of liqueurs. He really like strived for the fact that he could, if he couldn't buy it, or he'd make it. So they've got lavender liqueur, which we tasted a little while ago. They've got elderflower liqueur. They've got barrel aged gins. They've got everything. They got absinthe. They got the whole shebang. So this is another one I haven't tasted for a while. And the beautiful thing is they have everything on the back label. So BC barley, juniper, coriander, lemon verbena, which is a great one, hops, fennel, anise, hyssop, lavender, and rosemary. The hops is always one that gets you on the nose. Hops can give you grapefruit, or can give you that funky, wet dog, weedy, marijuana sort of smell. This is another one that I had tasted a while ago, and it had been really malty backbone. Now that distillate's really cleaned up, and all those sort of very super fragrant, if you listen to the ingredients I gave you, super fragrant botanicals that have sort of played really well with this really nice clean distillate. Almost a honey finish as well, which is funny that Legends and this have this sort of honeysuckle finish. Really fantastic. Definitely way better than I remember. Like really, really well done. Because again, I get caught up in their other stuff, their absinthes and their cool liqueurs and all that sort of stuff, so I get caught up in that. But their baseline gin's fantastic. So, BC gin. I've tasted 6. I think I did 7 the week before. So we're getting slowly but surely through them. I'm going to be doing a big Fever Tree tasting with all the gins that I tasted, and sort of show you how to pair these gins with different Fever Tree tonics fairly shortly. That's probably in the new year. I want to thank everybody for the support this year. I'm not even sure when this episode is going to be coming out. I feel like I'm going to be pretty much on Christmas. This may be coming out on Christmas. I got to look at the calendar. But thank you so much for the support this year. BC Spirits is a massive passion project for me. And I want to sort of showcase everything that BC has to offer, whether you're a small distillery, a big distillery, a medium-sized distillery, one with no budget, one with all the budget in the world. My goal is to sort of showcase everything that BC has to offer in a completely easy to digest sort of format. So thanks again for the support, guys. Please go to the BC Spirit swag store and pick up some swag. I really appreciate it. It basically funds these little tastings that I do, because most of the time I want to support the BC distilleries, and so I buy most of this stuff. So please go out and do it. Thank you very much. I'll see you next week. Have a good Christmas. If this is coming out on Christmas, have a good Christmas, and support local. Bye.